Over the past couple of years, we've seen Bungie make some really poor decisions and really not listen to their customers, and it seems that it's catching up with them because while we know that Destiny 2 is flailing and Marathon is in limbo, and it seems that Sony is unhappy, the Bungie CEO is now out. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, as I say all the time, just because someone used to be able to create something or do something, fulfill a role previously, doesn't mean that they can anymore. And that's the situation with Pete Parsons. He has been with this company for over 20 years, so he clearly was capable at one point, but I think that he has just really lost focus on what customers want, just like Sony has. In putting these two entities together wasn't a good decision, at least in my opinion. But now the Bungie CEO, Pete Parsons, is retiring from his position, and new studio head Justin Truman, a Bungie and Destiny vet of 15 years, is stepping up to the plate. Now, I used to really love a lot of Bungie titles, but they've definitely fallen flat, and I don't really see a bright future for them going forward, knowing that they're working on something like Marathon, which is in development hell, and that's what they were really hoping to bank on and keep alive for years, just doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. Now, maybe it will come out, maybe it will actually be half decent, and it will be a fun experience, but everything that we have seen up until this point has been just nightmare fuel. It doesn't look like these developers know what they're doing, and they don't have a lot of vets, so it's juniors who are maybe even making a game for the first time. It doesn't sound like it's going to be monetized quite well. I do like the idea of it not being full price and it being around $40, but they're calling it a premium title, and of course, that usually means microtransaction hell, so that's not really good. And it just seems that they don't really have a lot of confidence in him going forward. So Parsons, who joined Bungie over 20 years ago when the studio was still shepherd of the Halo series, became studio leader in 2015. My goal was to grow us into a studio capable of creating and sustaining iconic, generation-spanning entertainment, he said. In 2019, of course, he laid out very ambitious plans for Bungie to become a multi-franchise studio by 2025, and Destiny 2 remains the studio's biggest and really only golden goose, with some other projects reportedly canceled in recent years and Extraction Shooter Marathon officially delayed until an unknown date. And there's also a mobile spinoff, Destiny Rising, which is in the works, but that's with NetEase. So with the Marathon plagiarism scandal, the alpha that went terribly, all of the delays, that's not in a good state. Destiny 2 is basically dead because the community is not particularly interested in the game anymore. They're not updating it enough. Every single expansion that has come out, from what I have seen from the outside looking in, has been received less and less positively as time has gone on. And I think that they were really banking on the next Destiny game to be in the works and then putting that out in like a year or two, but Marathon kind of filling in the gaps. But it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. Now, when Sony acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion, it was very clear that they were given independence, even if Sony was openly eager to apply Destiny's maker Liveservice expertise to PlayStation Studios in some capacity. But Sony is a bit cooler on its once feverish Liveservice plans today, a bit blunted by stumbles like Concord, but is still investing heavily in the space. Yeah, I mean, they've invested billions and billions of dollars into Liveservice slop at this point, and it just really hasn't stuck with players. But I think what is a big problem with Pete and his career is truly Marathon. I think that he was supposed to be around as that was releasing, and then, of course, maybe he was going to step down, but now that it's not coming out, yeah, I just feel like all of those plans went to shit. Of course, there are examples, at least on Marathon. The sheer extent of quote-unquote thievery is such that the team wouldn't show anything in its latest live stream until all assets are thoroughly vetted. Keep in mind that Bungie was already facing criticism from the recent closed alpha, never mind decisions like not implementing proximity chat or implementing a queue for solo players or the entire mess that is the contract system, and they have gone back on some of these things. They did say that they are going to add prox chat. They are removing all of these stolen assets from the game, allegedly, but It's not good. We also had heard that morale was in free fall with employees concerned about the studio's future if Marathon fails, and well, I don't really know how it's going to succeed. Perhaps the most interesting part is that even before the controversy, Bungie had reportedly overhauled its marketing strategy for the game. June would apparently see the debut of a new trailer and pre-orders opening. An open beta was allegedly set for August, and that's all down the drain now. I mean, we're in the middle of August, really the second half of August, and it's infinitely delayed. We don't know the state that this game is in, and they didn't even give a new release date. One would assume it's going to be like mid 2026, but that means that this game was pushed off almost by a full year, which is terrible for them. It says Christopher Barrett, who previously served as the director on the project, was fired last year following allegations of inappropriate behavior. Joe Zegler of Valorant fame would replace him, but several months later, reports emerged from Jason Schreier that the sentiment around the project was not great. Those he spoke to were even skeptical whether it would hit its 2025 deadline, and considering its current state and the whole build it alongside the community attitude that Bungie has touted, you have to wonder how bad things were a year prior. There's also workplace toxicity, there's layoffs. The leadership even said that it was the worst that they've worked with, riddled with rampant micromanagement, frequent toxicity, and violations of their core values, and no ability to execute on their multi-franchise vision. And of course, when you are working in an environment like this, and any environment really, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable or go through any sort of toxicity, but at the same time, you are thieves. You worked on a project where people stole other individuals' artwork, and those people got paid for it. How am I supposed to sit here and sympathize with a team that steals, a team that doesn't listen to their community, a team that I think is doing really bad work? Like, yeah, I don't want you to go through toxicity, but at the same time, if you were creating a better game, maybe this would come out and you would make a lot of money and you'd be able to change positions and go to a different company and your career in general would be uplifted. But it just doesn't seem like any of the people are putting their best foot forward, and instead they're blaming everybody but themselves. There's just no accountability in this industry at this point. So right now, Bungie seems to be totally and thoroughly fucked. I will, of course, be keeping my eye on this. They are a large company, right? Sony bought them for $3.6 billion just a few years ago, which is crazy. But, Parsons had faced criticism last year after Bungie saw multiple waves of heavy layoffs amid the less than stellar returns from Destiny 2's releases. Destiny fans in particular latched on to reports citing auction receipts indicating the CEO had recently spent several $1,000,000 on vintage cars. And it just seems that none of these people are actually worried about the future of this studio. They're just worried about blaming everybody else instead of trying to work together as a team to overcome this obstacle and make a product that you are going to get support for. So yeah, we know that Pete Parsons is out at Bungie. A new studio head is stepping up, but Destiny 2 is flailing. Marathon is completely in limbo right now. It seems like it is in a disastrous state and the eye of Sony is burning. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.